It's gonna turn off.
What?
It's gonna turn off, and it will never, ever turn back on.
What's gonna turn off? What are you talking about?
Everything.
Did I lose you?
Hello everyone and welcome to another video by Centipede Geek. Today I'm going to discuss my opinions and thoughts upon the entire Season 1 of the NBC original television series by the name of Revolution. Without any further ado, let's go and get to it, shall we? So if you watch my pilot review that I did, sometime last year, I believe, so it was a long time ago, so you may have to search, if you haven't watched it, you may have to search for a little bit. Well, I started watching a series by the name of Revolution. I'm going to give you guys a little rundown of what that series is about if you haven't watched it. Not too much of one, though, because I've already made a little video about it. So pretty much Revolution is pretty much a post-apocalyptic drama series about the entire, all electricity and all powers went out all across the world. Not just the US, but the entire world is without power. And the post-apocalyptic series with the name Revolution takes place 15 years after these events, and it's pretty much these characters trying to find out why the power went off, how they can get it back on, and pretty much the drama and the relationships that these characters face as they face a militia has risen up, and the militia is trying to gain power over their place. There's also there's these people by the name of rebels, and these rebels are trying to get the United States back in control, and the kind of a war rises up between the rebels and the Monroe militia, and that's kind of the just plot without giving away too much information. Anyways, let's talk about my thoughts and opinions about the entire Season 1 of the NBC original television series by the name of Revolution. Overall, this was an amazing first season. I mean, I started, if you noticed my reviews, I had a good chunk of reviews. There was probably a good 5-6 episodes where I missed an episode every now and then just because I was busy. I haven't reviewed Revolution, I think, in a good 2 or 3 weeks, but I have, just so you guys know, I have kept up with the series in full, and I have seen all 20 episodes. So let's talk about my thoughts. Well, my favorite characters in this show, we'll talk about the finale here in a second, because a good chunk of this video is going to be my thoughts and kind of theories on Season 2. But for now, let's talk about some of the characters. Tom Neville, played by the actor from Breaking Bad. I'm not going to try pronouncing his name because every time I try, I fail. It starts with a G and Giancarlo Esposito, something like that. Anyways, he's from Breaking Bad, plays a villain in Breaking Bad, by the way. Tom Neville is a great character in this show. I'm going to get a little bit of minor spoilerish here. He starts off as a bad guy. He starts off working, as a, militia, as Monroe's closest friend, his closest ally. And slowly throughout the series, he turns into this anti-hero. And all of a sudden, especially real big spoilers here, he actually then becomes an anti-hero, starts to side with the Sun and starts to rebel against the Monroe militia himself, and even Monroe in the finale. So that was just a great transformation. I've always loved Neville's character. I loved him when he was a bad guy, and he still is lurking on the sides between good and evil. And Tom Neville is definitely my favorite character to Monroe. They're probably about equal, actually. But Tom Neville, a great character. I really like him. Just really cool stuff, and a great actor that plays him. He's one of those villains that isn't one note. You can actually feel sympathy for him, and that's just another reason I really like his character. Another favorite character of mine is Bass Monroe. And Monroe, if you don't watch the series, is pretty much the leader of course, the Monroe militia. He's the leader of the militia. He's pretty much the main villain in the show, and he is another favorite character of mine. He's another one of those villains where you can also feel sympathy for him. And there's several times where you think you should feel sympathy for him, and then you just find out how much of a bad guy he is, because in the series there's so much great, I guess you could say, character development between every character, not just the good guys, but at times it seems that you're almost rooting for the bad guys in the show, because it makes the bad guys almost seem like good guys through some of the actual flashback scenes. So I love that, two sides of the story analysis that each character is given through flashback scenes. And overall, The character development in the NBC original television series with the name of Revolution is just great. Every character has enough justice and is written in a great way where you get to know every character, even the minor characters. You get to know every character in a great way. And when characters die off in Revolution, you really feel it. It's not just like the character dies. It makes you tear up. I've teared up probably at least 10 times, maybe even 20 times throughout my entire season of season 1. I teared up 2 or 3 times during the finale of the show. So, overall, those 2 characters are my favorite. And then the character development in general is just really cool. Another reason I liked Revolution Season 1 is the concept of the show. It's a great concept, and pretty much what the show is about is just characters trying to get power. They're trying, and I don't mean electricity. They're just trying to gain power over the United States of America. And Monroe's trying to gain power, trying to seem in control. Tom Neville, is trying to stay in control of himself, trying to protect his family. Then we have the rebels that are trying to actually gain power. So it's like everyone is like the struggle for power, and I just think it's a great concept that Revolution is, and it's just a great concept. We haven't seen something like this. The power's been out for a long time, and then 15 years later is when the series actually takes place. So it's like a desolate wasteland pretty much, and the series just the direction it goes is a direction that I never saw it going, because we find at first the series is all about trying to turn the power back on, and then all of a sudden we find out these like anthrax things live inside of people, and that if the power's turned back on, it's literally gonna like make everybody die, and the world's gonna be set on fire. So it turns into like this apocalypse sort of thing, because of these things inside of the people are actually keeping them alive. So we find out all these other secrets throughout the show. So it's just great writing and some great twists overall make up just for a great series. So let's talk about, now that I've talked about the series and kind of just of what I liked, let's talk about the finale in general. The finale was a great finale. Pretty much what it was about is we had pretty much several of the scenes were a showdown between Miles Matheson's character and then Bass Monroe's character. And then also we had Tom Neville trying to rise up against Monroe, and just, and then at the end of the major spoilers coming up, at the end of the finale, if we find out that that there is a United States like crew staying out in, I believe, Cuba, and the president seems to be there, and we find out that it may have not have been an accident when the power was turned off. It may have been on purpose. And I'm thinking the reason is once again, the person wanted more power. And I'm getting into my theories a little bit. My theory is that this is just a theory of mine. It could be totally wrong, so forgive me if it is. But my theory is that this president is a bad guy character. And I think, it's going to be great when I see him, by the way. It's going to be a great, he's going to be a great character, I can already tell. I'm hoping his role's going to be pretty big. And it seems as if, it didn't show his face, it showed his shadow. So it seems as if his character is going to be huge. Anyways, it seems that if he was responsible for actually turning the power off so he could have more power, not electrical power, but just power in general overall. And that was just really cool. I really like his character. Just really cool stuff. It just seems like he's going to be a great character. I know I only saw him for a split second, but I can already tell that he's going to be a great character. I'm hoping that they really expand on his character, because it seems like the president, he might end up being a good guy, but it seems like the president has some, I guess you could say, some alternate motives, and it seems like he's going to be a bad guy, and who knows, maybe he's not responsible for turning the power off, but it seems like, to me, it seems as if he might be. So let's talk about some of the critical scenes in the finale. We had several fight scenes that were really well done between Monroe and Miles. Just, there was a scene where Monroe said, because Monroe is almost, it seems as if he's like a good guy in this episode. He says, a quote, he says, the only reason I have always been following you, Miles, is to keep you safe. We've always been watching out for you because we're still brothers, because they used to work back, in the militia together as both generals, and now, they're not. And he lets Monroe go because it seems that Neville is now the leader of the militia, and they're trying to find Monroe, while Monroe is pretty much on his own, it seems like, in the middle of the woods, while when the power gets turned back on, the electricity, it starts to thunder because of the big deal it made. Another great scene, besides the scene where they're like the scene I'm talking about is when they're standing in the trees, and they're like, talking to each other. Great scene. I teared up at that scene. Another scene I actually cried on was when, major spoilers coming up, is when the character of Nora died. I kind of have a feeling she would, because the episode hinted at that between Nora and some scenes with Rachel, Charlie's mom. He said, oh, she'll pick you every time, and so I kind of thought, Nora might die, and then she did, and I was like, oh no, it was a great scene. It always makes for great television whenever there's great character development and that character dies off, and when you actually feel sympathy for that character, it always makes for a great episode overall. So that was really cool. I really liked that scene. And then I also liked how it kind of gave, this episode answered several questions. It left a few more, but it answered several of the questions I had. I mean, the only question I have in the series now is, who actually turned the power off and why did they do it? That's the only, every other question, the anthrax in the bodies, every other question has been answered. Why Aaron's picture was in the book, the code. He designed the code. He didn't even know he did. His code was, sold to the tower so they could create the tower and turn the power off. So, it's really cool, all these twists that the finale revealed, and then they all of a sudden, connect with the series in general, and it makes for a great show. Anyways, that's pretty much my thoughts and opinions on the NBC original television series with the name Revolution for the entire Season 1. Season 2 premieres, I believe Season 2 is going to premiere in the fall this year. I'm guessing probably, first season premiered September 17th, so I'm guessing the second season will premiere sometime during that same month. I'm guessing it's going to premiere once again in September, but sometime during the fall for sure, and it's going to have a total of about 22 episodes, I believe, so make sure to keep watching Revolution if you're a big fan. Once again, thanks for watching the video by Centipede Geek for my review of the entire Season 1 of the NBC original television series with the name of Revolution. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe to my page below, and I'll see you guys later with more videos by Centipede Geek.